Hello, church family. Welcome to this week's edition of BHC Today. Sometimes I think that culture has changing so fast, it's gotten out of control. Lisa and I were at a restaurant last week. We saw a family of 6 sitting at a large table. All 6 of them were on their cell phones. There was not one word of conversation for about 15 minutes. I said, why have we gotten so technical that we don't even converse anymore? When you think about all the technical advances, recently I was trying to do my taxes and they want me to put everything on a PDF. I gotta be honest, I didn't know how to do it. There's so many times when we have to do something on our computers or our cell phones that technology is so advanced, I don't know how to operate it. I looked at our bills. We spend so much money on things like cell phones and streaming services and internets, things that hundreds of dollars a month that we didn't even have 30 years ago. Sometimes I long to go back to the good old days. Do you remember the good old days when you had one telephone landline and you didn't have hundreds of TV stations? In our family, we watched Gunsmoke on Monday night, Lawrence Welk on Saturday night, The Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday night. It was one channel, and that's all that we needed. I saw something recently that made me long for the good old days. It was a poem called The Days of Black and White. Allow me to read that to you. You could hardly see for all the snow. Spread the rabbit ears as far as they'll go. Pull a chair up to the TV set. Good night, John boy. Hello, Chet. Depending on the channel you tuned, you got Rob and Laura or Ward and June. It felt so good. It felt so right. You see, life looked better in black and white. I Love Lucy, The Real McCoys, Dennis the Menace, The Cleaver Boys, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Wagon Train, The Jetsons, Superman, and Lois Lane, Andy, Opie, and Barney Fife, Living in Mayberry. Yes, that's the life. Donna Reed on Thursday night. Yes, life was better in black and white. I want to go back to black and white. Everything always seemed to turn out right. Simple people and simple lives, and the good guys always won the fight. Too many murders, too many fights. I want to go back to black and white. In God they trusted, alone in bed they slept. A promise made was a promise kept. Never cussed nor broke their vow. These shows would never make the network now. I'd trade all the channels on my satellite if I could turn back the clock tonight to when everyone knew what was wrong from right. Yes, life was better in black and white. You know, that sounds good. Memories flood my soul, but I don't know if the answer go back to the 1950s. The answer to our problems is not necessarily to return to the good old days. I think the answer is to return to the good old ways. You see, the answer is to turn to God and His guidelines set forth in His Bible. You see, I don't think that we really want to go back to black and white. As Billy Joel sang, the good old days weren't all that good, and tomorrow ain't as bad as it seems. In Jeremiah, the prophet saw that Israel had turned away from God, and he didn't tell them to turn back to the good old days, but the good old ways. I read in Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16, he says, stand by the roads and look. Ask for the ancient path where the good way is it, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk in it. Friends, it may be true that our culture has decided we're not going to walk in the good old ways. We're not going to walk in the ways of the Word of God. But that's exactly what I'm asking you to do. If you want the good times, it's not the good old days, it's the good old ways. Tune your heart to the Word of God, for His way is the good way. It's the narrow way, not the broad way, but it's the way that leads to God. I want to encourage you today to trust in God, follow His ways, and He will lead you in the way to go. May God bless you today and be encouraged.